Any other questions? All right, let's move on to uterus. So here we have uterus and uterine tube, and these two are, they're different, but they sometimes get confused. So I'll kind of give you some pointers for how to tell them apart. And we're as zoomed out as we get. This isn't going to look so crazy on your screen, but I'm just going to kind of pan around the lumen for a second, because within this, you're going to be identifying the endometrium and the myometrium. And I want to give you an idea of just like kind of how this looks. It's a little adventure here. And all of the tissue that you're really seeing here is part of the endometrium. So there isn't necessarily in this going to be like an epithelial layer or anything else, but just endometrium, okay? And you can see that it's really, really thick, okay? So in some places it goes from there all the way to here. Very, very thick. That's going to be the key, because the inner layer that we're going to see in basically any other tubular organ isn't going to be this thick. Okay? That thickness is what should immediately give away that this is the uterus. And also we have this really, really dense muscle layer that follows directly after it. In most tubular organs we've talked about, there's a layer of connective tissue with our submucosa, and this one it goes straight from endometrium right into muscle. And again, it's very, very dense muscle. Okay? And I'll pan out so you can see the muscle. The muscle is called the myometrium, so that's the next thing you have to identify. But actually, before I leave it, this would be an ideal shot for an exam. So, just if anyone wants to take a picture, this is a good one to take. Because you can get the endometrium and the myometrium with like kind of the example of how thick it is on the right. So this is a very, very testable piece. Okay. So now with the myometrium, I'm going to move it now. We just get an idea of how thick that is. So all of this is muscle, and we don't see muscle that thick in any other slide that we're looking at. Now, some of the muscle, or some of the uterus slides that we have, are going to have their endometrium and myometrium, but it's going to be one big strip, and you're not going to have a complete lumen like this. I'd recommend taking a look at that one now that I've shown you this one, so you can get an idea of what that one looks like also. Just note that if we show that one to you, we're not going to be like all the way over where you can see nothing but myometrium, because if we just put a patch of like smooth muscle up there and ask you to identify the slide, I mean the only thing you can like really say is smooth muscle, because you don't have any perspective of what you're looking at. So we definitely are going to be including endometrium in that slide at some point, so you can actually get that idea of what it is. All right, any other questions or any questions? All right, last, the oviduct. So the uterine tube goes by many names. It goes by uterine tube, oviduct, and I can't remember the other one, but it's in your manual. I'll accept all three for both the slide and the actual anatomical structure in the female reproductive system check, because they're all used interchangeably. So. All right, so here we have the oviduct. And with the oviduct, this is actually not my favorite example of one, because one of the things that's really, really unique about the oviduct is that you have these, like, I don't even know what they were called, not really villi, but you have these interjections of tissue into the lumen that are really unique for the type of movement that you see. Also, if you were to zoom in on this, you would expect to see cuboidal epithelium with cilia. Right, so this is the only place we're going to see a simple simple columnar epithelium with cilia. This is the only place in the entire body it exists. So if we were to zoom in on this, then you'd be able to tell that way. If it's panned out like this, then you should be able to tell by the incroppings that come in like that. And again, make sure you take a look at a different slide, because I kind of just pulled this one not knowing what I was getting. But usually these are very, very thin. Okay, so that's kind of another way. It's very, very thin trajectories of tissue coming in towards the lumen. And that's it. So any questions for slides? All right, so